Ahead on NewsWatch, ready for action. See how White House officials are preparing to defend the country against North Korea. Plus,
it's pretty frightening. But I'm a cowboy, not a wimp. I'm sticking here.
We are heading to the border to see how these ranchers what they have to say about border security. And
his boss was a little older than I am. And they walk in, and at the time, here's this 31-year-old, and he's going to be my boss. I've been in the business for 20 years. I should be able to tell him what to do.
It's one generation's workplace dream and another's nightmare. See why more millennials are taking care of business. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. President Trump's national security advisor says the United States must be ready for possible military operations against North Korea. This comes as the rogue regime tested another ballistic missile over the weekend. George Thomas has the details.
President Trump is reaching out to allies in Asia, warning them that the world cannot accept a North Korea with nuclear weapons.
Eventually, he will have a better delivery system, and if that happens, we can't allow it to happen.
Trump spoke to the prime ministers of Thailand and Singapore over the weekend, urging them to put pressure on the rogue regime. The calls come as the North tested another ballistic missile early Saturday, though it blew up seconds after launch. Trump's national security advisor accused North Korea of once again openly defying the international community.
It may mean ratcheting up those sanctions even further, and it also means being prepared for military operations if necessary.
Trump also talked with Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte and invited him to the White House. Duterte has been accused of committing crimes against humanity for an anti-drug campaign that has seen more than 8,000 killed since he came into office last summer. President Trump is facing criticism for inviting him, but the administration says the move is necessary.
It doesn't mean that human rights don't matter, but what it does mean is that the issues facing us developing out of North Korea are so serious that we need cooperation at some level with as many partners in the area as we can get to make sure that we have our ducks in a row.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Lawmakers have agreed on a $1 trillion budget after weeks of negotiations and fears of a government shutdown. Republicans and Democrats agreed to the spending plan Sunday night and are expecting to make it public today. It doesn't defund Planned Parenthood or sanctuary cities. It also doesn't give the president money for a border wall, but did give him more funding to strengthen the military. During debates, Democrats criticized the president while Republican leaders and the president refocused on health care.
Unless his approach changes, the next 100 days will be just like the first, a series of broken or unfulfilled promises.
And as soon as possible, we will bring that bill to the floor.
We're going to get the premiums down. We're going to get the deductibles way down.
Still no word on when that might be. The budget bill would fund all federal agencies through September. The president and the press that covers him held somewhat dueling events over the weekend, each with words for the other. Amber Strong has the story now from Washington.
No president in sight and few celebrities at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the series finale of the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
The event, lovingly termed the Nerd Prom, has morphed in recent years, becoming about 1/3 politics, 1/3 Hollywood, and 1/3 journalism. Two of those things were obviously missing at this year's dinner: the influx of Hollywood celebrities and the president himself.
More than 100 miles away from Washington Swamp.
Opting to skip the traditional roast and banter with the group he has called the opposition party, President Trump held a rally 2 hours away in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to celebrate his first 100 days in office.
So I promised you in my inaugural address 100 days ago that now arrives the hour of action. And we've, believe me, started from day one. And that is what we've delivered, 100 days of action. In fact, those people and others are exhausted.
White House Correspondents Association President Jeff Mason said the president's absence was historic.
This will be the first time in several decades that a president has not attended the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The last time was Ronald Reagan in 1981 when he was recovering from an assassination attempt. So that clearly changes the dinner a little bit, but it's also been in some ways an opportunity for us to focus on what the dinner is really all about.
And while some criticized President Trump for not being there, others said it was the president being true to himself.
He should do what he feels right for himself. It's his 100 days. He wants to be at a rally. And he said he felt it would be hypocritical to celebrate the press.
Members of the White House press agreed. Doing away with the glitz and glam helped return the dinner to its origins.
This year, the news is the star.
I'm here to support my colleagues and what we do every day.
So with or without the president, the show must and did go on. Veteran journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein bestowed the awards for excellence in journalism, while the association awarded thousands of dollars in scholarship funds to the next generation of journalists. Throughout the evening, one message remained constant: the celebration and the importance of the First Amendment.
Only in America can a first-generation Indian American Muslim kid get on this stage and make fun of the president.
Two messages, miles apart, protected by the same inalienable rights. Amber C. Strong for CBN News in Washington, D.C.
Deadly storms hit several states over the weekend, killing at least 13 people. The storms tore through Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
There is a tornado crossing the road right in front of us.
That storm ripped off roofs from homes and pulled trees from the ground and tossed cars around. A twister also hit a high school prom that was taking place inside a barn.
I ran in, I said, we got to get cover. It's going to be a direct hit.
On top of those storms, floods also swept through areas, destroying power lines and more homes. A storm warning is still in effect for parts of the country today. It spans areas across the East Coast from North Carolina all the way to New York. A Hillsong Church security guard is expected to be okay after being knocked out after he tried to break up a fight following a service in Sydney. A church spokesperson says two groups of teenagers got into an argument when one of the teens was attacked, and that is when the security guard intervened and also got hurt. Police say a third Hillsong member was then attacked by the group before they fled the scene. They don't believe they were attacked for their faith. Still to come, they are ranchers who live on the border, and the only thing standing between them and drug smugglers is a 4-foot fence. Hear their thoughts on building a wall next. One of President Trump's biggest campaign promises was a wall along the southern border with Mexico. But what do people who live along the border think? Do they want a wall? Heather Sells traveled to Arizona to find out.
On his 50,000-acre ranch in southern Arizona, Jim Chilton puts out salt for his cattle and keeps an eye out for the smugglers and illegal immigrants that cross his border property. His surveillance video tells the story.
I have evidence, hard evidence, of people coming through, and they're mainly drug packers bringing into the United States marijuana, cocaine, meth, and heroin.
His front porch collection offers another part of the story: abandoned carpet shoes used to erase telltale footprints by those who cross illegally.
Sinaloa cartel.
Chilton took CBN News on a bumpy 2-hour drive for a closer look at the border on his land. Along the way, he talked of his encounters with people on the run.
Turned this corner here, and about 20 guys dressed in camouflage with big backpacks ran right up this way and up this hill. They were all in camouflage, and the guy in front had an AK-47.
It's clear to Chilton and the Border Patrol that the Sinaloa drug cartel deploys scouts on this land to guide smugglers to safety. One time, Chilton reported the discovery of 4 marijuana bales, well aware that the cartels could take revenge against him. Later, we parked and walked a few hundred feet to the line that has led to so many headlines and political debates.
This is the international boundary.
Behind me on the Mexican side, there are a number of roads, and that indicates that this has become a prime spot for entry. Both illegal immigrants and drug smugglers like this area because there's only a barbed wire fence, very simple, separating the U.S. and Mexico, and also we're several hours away from the nearest Border Patrol station.
That part's a sore point with Chilton. Although we spotted several agents along our journey, the shortcomings are obvious. No easy access for response to border trouble, no patrol presence along the actual border, and a barbed wire fence that may deter cattle, but certainly not people. That's why for more than a decade, Chilton has pushed for something more.
It's just very obvious that you need a wall, you need a road next to it, and you need forward operation bases.
Chilton and other ranchers here believe the U.S. must secure the entire southern border, all 1,989 miles of it. They believe this 20-foot-high fence in nearby Nogales has simply funneled illegals towards them. Rancher Dan Bell showed us where that Nogales fence ends on his property and reverts back to barbed wire.
It's as simple as for people coming through in large groups, just getting a pair of wire cutters and cutting through the fence.
Bell feels a little better about security than Chilton, and for good reason. His ranch is closer to the Nogales Border Patrol station, and
we've had some road systems put in, we've had technology come in, and with the addition of those and more agents in the area, we have seen improvement.
Bell admits, however, that gaps remain and he feels unsafe on parts of his ranch.
In the areas when we're more remote, where we don't have cell phone service, where there's very few roads, and they're far and few between, you do think about things like that. And what's your plan going to be in case you do have a confrontation?
Not everyone on the border agrees with the president's plan to build a new wall. That includes many residents in Nogales and Sheriff Tony Estrada.
It sounds good to everybody. Okay, we got a problem with illegal immigration, with drugs. We'll just build a wall, and that'll stop everything. That's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It'll help, but it's not going to solve the problem.
Estrada says people will always find ways to go over or under physical barriers. A wall, he says, doesn't address the real problem.
You have to look at what is bringing people here.
That, he says, is the drug trade and the promise of opportunity that the United States offers. In the last 2 decades, U.S. dollars spent on border security have kept going up, and the number of Border Patrol agents has increased 500%. While Estrada believes that money could be better spent, ranchers like Chilton and Bell believe it's helped to reduce the flow of immigration and drugs. Chilton argues that a wall would help lower costs like prosecuting immigrants and fighting forest fires started by drug packers. For now, he and Bell maintain an uneasy truce with those vying for control of their land. In the spirit of compassion, both maintain multiple drinking fountains to provide life-saving relief to those who need it. Still, they remain vigilant for any encounter.
When those instances happen, you go opposite ways, and that's it. And you say good morning, and you go the opposite way, and hope for the best.
It's pretty frightening, but I'm a cowboy, not a wimp. I'm sticking here.
Reporting on the border in Arizona, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Millennials taking charge of business in the workplace and see how it's impacting the office dynamics. We've got the story coming up next. Who's the boss? The answer to that question may be different than in years past. The next generation, the younger generation, is using high-tech savvy skills to climb the marketplace, and that climb can get rocky when they're put in positions of authority over their older coworkers.
A decade ago, the idea of seasoned professionals being managed by someone half their age seemed like a dream to some and a nightmare for others. Today, it's becoming the new normal. Many companies realize that younger Gen Xers and Millennials bring a distinct set of skills to their operations, skills that matter most in this changing world.
Millennials bring a unique talent in terms of their technology savvy, their ability to absorb change quickly, and these are very useful skills that companies need right now.
These Gen Xers and Millennials have the ability to work 24/7. And I think what they bring to the table is the ability to interact with anybody, to do whatever they want to do, almost any time during the day or night.
Knowledge of all things digital stands out to companies needing to compete in that arena. That helped seal the deal for Austin Kellerman, who took the job of news director at Little Rock's NBC and Fox television stations. At only 31, he was the youngest news director the stations had ever hired.
A digital push was a big part of it. That's a big push in the company right now. Digital through the web, through social media. And I think social media is just one of those things I've always been passionate about, and so something I wanted to kind of bring in to help put my stamp on what KARK and Fox 16 would be in the future.
But bringing in someone so young to lead older employees can often be a roadblock to positive change.
Their previous boss was a little older than I am, and they walk in, and at the time, you know, here's this 31-year-old, and he's going to be my boss? I've been in the business for 20 years. I should be able to tell him what to do. Now, I didn't get anyone who said anything like that, but I would imagine that's what they were thinking.
This generational shift is just beginning as the workplace gets younger and younger.
And this is a strategic imperative to use millennials as leaders in the workforce because of the skills they bring.
Both Torrance and Klein say this new office transition can be a smooth one, as long as communication and respect are part of the relationship.
Those younger millennials need to help those older employees understand what it's like to work with them. The baby boomers and traditionalists need to understand that they need to let the millennials and Gen Xers do their thing. Don't worry about how they're doing it. The bottom line, their productivity, is the most important.
Kellerman says his leadership style combines things that come naturally to him as a digital native with concepts he's learned from older employees and mentors.
I think being a younger person, a younger manager, I've always tried to, approach more experienced or older employees in that regard, and just make sure they understand that I value them and truly use them as a resource.
Kellerman is successfully leading both KARK and Fox 16 into the digital-first future of news.
Digitally, our footprint is much larger in terms of Facebook followers, Twitter followers. One interesting trend we've seen over the last few years is now people don't go to our website anymore. They come to our website through Facebook. They don't visit the homepage.
The risk companies take to bring in young managers may result in growing pains at first, but it's a generation equipped to step in. Some parting advice from the experts: never doubt your abilities, and remember, there's always more to learn. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Little Rock, Arkansas.
There is so much more to learn. Stay with us. There's more of CBN NewsWatch straight ahead. Operation Blessing is restoring safe water to the Christian city of Karakosh, Iraq, after armed forces liberated it from ISIS. When ISIS seized control of the city of about 50,000 people, they crippled the water supply. Engineers are working to restore it, but the process has been slow. So Operation Blessing provides a generator and renovated a well on the property of the city's second largest church, where the well is now connected to a 2,000-gallon portable water tank with a tap stand. Operation Blessing also donated water treatment tablets to families to make the water safe for drinking. It is now time for your Monday Motivation, and here's a thought to consider as we begin a new week and a new month. God sees you more for who you can become than for who you are. He sees your potential, and He is simply waiting for your actions to demonstrate you agree with Him. Trust me, His vision for you is far better than your vision for yourself. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about always at cbnnews.com. We would love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that first by emailing newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. We certainly hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a marvelous Monday and a wonderful week. We'll see you right back here come tomorrow. God bless.